You and I are about to play some guitar solos together in this video, and I want us to go over some different ways that you can use three very common lead guitar methods. Now, we're going to learn a very short solo. Actually, it's the intro solo to my song Overcometh, because it contains these three methods, but there's a little twist, and I want to go over that with you in this video here. Now, do hang around for our guitar chat at the end of the lesson. I've got some important stuff that I want to bring up here, and also, if you're a Patreon supporter, you have the tabs and the backing tracks to this lesson. Alright, you and I are about to go over these three lead guitar methods here. Now, quick disclaimer, the tabs that I put on screen and even the way I play this solo, guys, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be exactly like I played it on the album. We will talk more about that in our guitar chat at the end of the video. Method number one, lead guitar method number one, really simple method, it's bends. But listen to how I do this in the beginning here. So I'm not just doing a regular bend. I'm not just bending that one string up. We're on the B string 15th fret. You know, a lot of times you'll hear that. That's a very common bend there. And it'll just bend, right? It'll bend to that next note, that next step up there. And that's okay. You can do that. I want to just say this real quick. There's no right or wrong way to do this, guys. Again, these are concepts that I want you to take and implement yourself. And more so than what I'm doing here, than mimicking that, what can you come up with after that? Okay, take it and run with it. I strongly encourage you to do that. But what we're doing is we're doing the bend, right? But then we're coming back down on it. It's like a double bend here, and then we're going to come back down kind of slow on that. So this is something that you can use in your guitar solos, not just a bend, but kind of spice it up a little bit. Now we're going to do another bend when we get to another part of the solo coming up here, so that'll be kind of part of the strategy as well. But let's move on to number two, okay? The second lead guitar method that you can use to really make your solos shine, and this is going to work just about every time. It's just the good old-fashioned alternate picking, just going back and forth, because you can play a little bit faster. I don't necessarily want to say speed picking in this case, because I'm not like, I'm kind of shredding, but not really. I'm just alternate picking some notes. It sounds fast, like when you just listen to it, it's like, okay, I can hear that, but it's not necessarily that fast. Now, this is the part where my tabs might be a little off and or my playing might not quite be exact, but again, just stay with me here. We're gonna go over the concept of this. So let me play the bends first and then go into this little piece. How I like to see this is I just pick a few strings, like 2 or 3 strings that I'm going to alternate pick over. A lot of times I'll stay within the same little region there because you can just play a little bit faster with that. I don't necessarily want to give you the easy way out, like that cool song on Rocky IV, There's No Easy Way Out. Hey, I covered that tune in my acoustic solo gig. Sometimes, and for me, like most of the time, if there's an easier way to do it and it sounds cool, I'm probably going to gravitate more towards that. Me personally, I'm not necessarily trying to play a solo only to impress other guitar players. I mean, hey, I hope people that listen to the solos like them, right, that are guitar players, but that's really not the goal. I just want to play something that sounds cool and that sounds good and that I like. And I can also replicate on stage, because again, I have a live show coming up here in about a month after this video. I've got to learn my own songs now. What we're doing, we'll kind of go through this. I'll put the tabs up here. What I think I'm doing in the album here is something like this. And I'm going to do the bend before so that we can go right into it, okay? I'll play this slow. So again, we're just alternate picking after that bend, and we're only going across like 3 strings here, guys. You know, we're going across the D, G, and B strings here. So not really a whole lot of notes. We're staying in the same region. I'm not saying you shouldn't play more complicated stuff. This song, this part of the song rather, well, I just felt it called for what I just played, and I left it as such. I didn't feel the need to try to overcomplicate it or do anything else. There are parts of other solos where I do that, but this particular solo, I just left it the way it was. I thought it sounded cool and it fit the song. That's the most important thing about guitar solos, is that it fits the song, right? So that's it. Just some alternate picking there. Now we go into that other bend that I talk about. We're kind of going back to the lead guitar method number 1 here. So we go to like a 2-string bend. What I'm doing here is I'm bending the 14th fret of the G string, but I'm also picking up that B string along the way as well, and I'm just kind of doing a little slow, almost half bend there. Not a full bend, but kind of going a little more than halfway, something like that. Like that cool song on the movie Over the Top, Meet Me Halfway Across the Sky. Can't remember who did that. Kenny Loggins, that's who it was. The final method I want to share with you is listen to what I do after that bend. I'm not sure if there's a name for this, but I'm just going to call it simply playing somewhere else on the fretboard, not staying in the same region the entire time. To me, if the solo is in that region the entire time, that same spot, it kind of gets redundant. It kind of gets boring. Even if you're doing different stuff, it's like you hear those same notes, right, over and over and over. So what I like to do is just branch out and just go somewhere else. It could be higher, it could be lower, it doesn't really matter. Again, guys, the concept here, whatever you're playing, after a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds, whatever, there's no like time limit on it, but just try to remember to go somewhere else, anywhere else. Really doesn't matter. So in this case, I went to some lower notes. And I kind of did a little slide too. This is kind of like a little bonus tip here, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I did like a little slide in between those parts of the solo. Real quick, whenever I do those slides, I've had people ask me, where do you put your fingers? Where do you fret it at? I don't really think about any of that. I just, okay? I think I've got like a YouTube shorts on power slides or something like that, but I don't even really press down too much. I guess maybe I do press down a little bit, but I just don't overthink it, right? Just, put your fingers anywhere. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you start. Just mess around with that for a while until you nail down something that sounds good, and then you'll naturally gravitate towards that area. I know that's not the answer a lot of people like to hear, because there are people out there that I want exactly what you're doing. The problem is I do something a little different every single time, so it's not really an exact science to me. That's not really what music is to me. So just kind of mess around with that. See what sounds good to you. So back to the lesson here. We're doing that little slide, and again, we're going somewhere else, okay? We're gonna explore a little bit in another area, and I've just got a simple little pattern I'm playing. I don't like calling these patterns because that makes it sound so boring. Just a little lick here, a melodic lick. There we go. It is time for our guitar chat, and I always love sitting down with you during our guitar chat because we get to talk about some cool stuff. But first, if you do not have my free practice guide called Metal Riffs and Licks, grab a copy of that. There's a link in the description of this video here. If you have my free practice guide, hey, check out my online guitar courses. I've got Metal Guitar Apprentice. That's if you're a beginner and you want to learn the basics of heavy metal guitar, or if you need to revisit those fundamentals, this is a great course for you, Metal Guitar Apprentice. I also have Metal Riff Master out there, which many of you are in. It contains over 80 metal riffs that you're going to learn, and not all of these riffs are in the same key. There's some songwriting in there too, so great courses for you. Check out the links in the description of this video. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that the tabs on screen might be a little off, and actually they kind of were, and I think I notated that after the fact, especially that 1-2 string bend. Actually, I only do the bend on one string there. I don't know how I missed that. I almost went back and redid the video, but I'm like, you know what? The video's fine. Just leave it alone. I really want you to grasp the concept, okay? Grasp the techniques that we use, the lead guitar methods that we use, and the way we use them throughout the guitar solo. And what I really want to ask of you is that yes, you can learn my solo, that's fine. I'm humbled that anyone would want to learn my songs. But what I want for you even more so is to branch out, because maybe as you're playing my guitar solo, maybe you come up with something a little different and you may think that this over here sounds better than what Jason's doing over here. By all means, please do that. I would appreciate it if you do that, because now you're merging off of just being a guitar player to being a songwriter, okay? You're merging out of that just I play guitar and learn other people's songs. Nothing wrong with that, that's fine. But I encourage you to branch out and come up with your own riffs, come up with your own licks, learn stuff, but then go elsewhere with it. Expand on it. Like, what else can I do with this? When you're playing this solo, when we're going through the lessons here, all of my lessons for that matter, what else are you hearing? Sometimes I just want you to listen to it, maybe try to play it, and then pause the video and think, what else am I hearing here? And I want you to go for that. To me, that's like the most important skill that you can build as a guitar player and as a musician, because now you're not just a guitar player. You're not just some person playing guitar. You're actually coming up with your own music, okay? Every piece of music written in the history of music was built on something, right? It was built on an inspiration. Think of your favorite guitar player. Well, they wrote their riffs and licks based on the inspirations from what they've heard, what they grew up listening to, and so forth, right? So you're going through this lesson right now. Okay, you learned the solo, maybe you learned part of it, or you learned my now version of it, which was a little different from what I recorded a few months back when I recorded the album. But what are you hearing? What else are you hearing? So I always want you to really pay attention to that, okay? Because that's the real you coming out as a guitar player and musician. And to me, that's very exciting. I do hope this lesson helped you. Leave any questions in the comments if you have them. And by the way, if you haven't seen the lyric video for the song Overcometh with the solo that you just learned, well, go check it out. It's up here. Until next time, keep it metal and keep playing music.